What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the JLC MMA Show. All right, let's get into it. We had a very fun ESPN show with Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. A lot of the fights ended up changing. We lost our co-main event the day of the fight. We had a fighter drop out during the week. A lot of stuff happening, but it's the usual during these COVID times for UFC events. But the events move on. That's key. The events still move on. You might have a 10-card fight card, but everything still happens. It was still an exciting night of fights. We're also going to preview our big pay-per-view coming up with the heavyweights going at it. The heavyweight strap is on the line. We've got Stipe. We've got Francis Ngannou. Part 2. It's going to be exciting. All right. Let's start off with getting into a little bit of recap. I'm gonna kind of graze over these fights and focus in on some certain ones that really caught my eye that were really fun and exciting, and talk about those real quick. Let me switch over so y'all can see what we got going on here. All right. So, pulled up the wiki page. Flyweight fight, we got Bruno Silva knocking out newcomer JP Buys, knocked out in the second round. JP Buys, I mean, I don't know. There's not a crowd at the Apex right now. We are going to have that crowd, UFC 261 in Jacksonville, though. But for this fight, no crowd. JP Buys coming from a smaller promotion, less amount of fans. I don't know. Maybe just the bright lights in the stage kind of got to him. Maybe Da Silva is a huge step up in competition for him, but he wasn't able to get the job done. Next up, they had Montel Jackson versus Jesse Strader. That one also ended in a TKO. And then the very next one, we had a middleweight bout between Trevin Giles and Roman Dolidze. That one, let me say, this one was a really good fight. It started off pretty slow. You had Dolidze come in with a lot of leg kicks to start off. More thigh kicks than the calf kicks. I would have preferred to see this guy do more leg the calf kick. Sorry, the calf kick probably would have been more effective against somebody like Giles, who's a power puncher who throws heavy. It looked very early on like those leg kicks were affecting a little bit of the movement of Trevin Giles, but he could have been, I don't know. He looked very calculated in the first round. Let's just say that it was a slow start for Trevin Giles. But it came on. Round 2, Trevin Giles looked phenomenal. He was catching Dolidze. Dolidze went down, got into a leg lock position, and tried really, really hard to get a leg lock in the second round. He was really chasing that finish. But when you chase a leg lock like that, especially with both hands, your face is very much exposed. And that's where Trevin Giles stole the round. He definitely stole the round that second round by just laying into Dolidze that second round. All that leg chasing definitely tired him out. He looked very tired whenever it came out of the commercial break in the start of round 3. Dolidze, you could see, was very labored. I want to say I think he dropped down to middleweight from light heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that third round, again, it was very so. So let's say the first round was definitely Dolidze, who's undefeated, 8-0. Looked every part of it. The second round, even though Dolidze couldn't get that submission, Trevin Giles came in and landed some big shots. And I would say he stole round 2. So I had it 1-1 going into that third round. It would have been a toss-up. Third round starts. Trevin Giles does look like the fresher man. Dolidze does look tired. And it starts off very back and forth in that first round. Another thing is Dolidze completely abandons second round. No leg kicks. Maybe in the third he had maybe one. So he completely abandoned that game plan, and it was working. Trevin Giles is a heavy front foot power guy. That leg is there for the taking. Get in and take it. That's not to say that Trevin Giles is a slouch by any means. He's a great fighter. So Dolidze comes in, and they have several exchanges. Trevin Giles actually rocks Dolidze in the second round, and I think that at that point, that's when Dolidze was done with the stand-up. He got Giles to the ground, and I would say this is about halfway through the round. Personally, I thought Dolidze had the third round just because he was able to take down. He had the control. Yes, he was rocked, but he recovered very quickly. And I believe even in the third round, Dolidze had more shots landed than Giles. But, not beating Trevin Giles up at all, and not going to take away his victory, because this is certainly a huge win for Trevin Giles. And I did like what I saw from him. It was a very close fight in that third round. Look, me personally, had it for Dolidze just based on the control. Not necessarily doing damage. He didn't look like the fresher fighter, but he had control. Giles, he had one clean shot that rocked him. So, who knows? Trevin Giles got the win. Congratulations on the win. You're a Texas boy, Houston PD. All due respect to your service and to, jumping in the octagon and just showing that you're a true warrior. Definitely excited to see what else we have in store for both of these guys. But I'm excited to see where Trevin Giles goes from this. I think this win definitely gives him a good amount of hype going forward. Not that he needs it. He just came off that big win off of Bevan Lewis. I want to say September, October. So, I mean, this guy does have a little bit of hype train coming behind him, and we'll see where it goes. Let's switch back over to the screen again and see. Okay, very next fight was Grant Dawson and Leonardo Santos for the lightweight. That one ended in a third round KO for Grant Dawson. That was a good fight. I believe Dawson got a $50,000 bonus for that one. Yes, he did. All right, move on. The women's bantamweight, Macy Chiasson versus Marion Renault. This was a great fight, a great performance by Macy. It looked like, unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. She looked impressive. This is her second win in a row, coming off of that loss to Lena Landsberg. That definitely set her back, but it seems like she's progressed. She progressed in the last fight. She's progressed in this fight. She really took over, and she really looked the part. We might be looking at a future contender on her hands, and that's not just because she was nice to me at an event. That's, my honest opinion just from watching her performance. She was very masterful and looked very strong and athletic out there. I'm excited to see what fight she has next. Maybe 2 or 3 fights. By the end of the year, we might be talking about a future bantamweight contender right here. That was the feature bout on the preliminary card. Very first fight on the main card, Tai Tuivasa versus Harry Hunsucker. Yes, you'll notice that it was Harry Hunsucker. It was supposed to be Dontel Mays. Couldn't get a lot of information on why, but I think it was Wednesday. It was announced that he wasn't fighting, and Harry Hunsucker was standing in. Props to Tai Tuivasa for sticking in and taking that late notice replacement, because, Tai Tuivasa, he just came off of the win against Stefan Struve, who subsequently retired. But before that, he was on a 3-fight losing skid. He came in and looked very impressive against a opponent he did not prepare for. He just came in, threw hands, and made it happen. Tai Tuivasa, what's more to say? He's a fan favorite, and even though we don't have fans in the stands right now, this guy still found a way to do the shoey. He still found a way. Post-fight interview with Megan O'Leary. I think it was the post-fight show that they showed it. But, yeah, one of the producers comes in, gives him a shoe, pours a beer in, takes the shoey. Man, I love this guy. Love his personality. Love his energy. Love the way he fights. What more can you say? Tai Tuivasa, huge fan of him. Next up was the bantamweight division. Adrian Yanez versus Gustavo Lopez. That one was a barn burner. Round 3 gets the TKO. Adrian Yanez gets the victory. The welterweight division, women's strawweight division next. Montserrat Ruiz versus Cheyenne Buys. Cheyenne, the wife of JP Buys. She's also a newcomer. First fight in the UFC here. Now, this one was a tough one for me. It was weird. The first round started off very, very weird. So Montserrat gets her down and puts her in a bulldog headlock. At first it kind of looked like she was trying to get the submission from there. And Cheyenne was accepting of this position. And then it looked like Ruiz wasn't trying to get the submission. She was just looking for control and any chance she could to punch her in the forehead. So that was weird. And of course, it's a dominant position. So the referee at the time, no reason to stand him up. It was just very weird that it was very much Ruiz absolutely deserved that first round because she got her down and did that to her. And that was kind of the tone for the rest of the fight. I don't think Cheyenne could ever get her game plan going on the feet, and ultimately led to the decision loss. But a lot of people were high on Cheyenne and certainly want to see what else she has to offer. And congratulations to Ruiz on that victory. Welterweight fight was next. Max Griffin versus Song Kanan. This one, I had high hopes for this one to be just a 3-round slugfest, and Max Griffin ended it in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. He set up Song Kanan and put him up against the fence with just a beautiful right hand that gave it up. Then we got to the main event. All the hype around Kevin Holland. Derek Brunson gets disrespected a lot because he's not the exciting fighter. He's more he leans very heavy on the wrestling. And Kevin Holland, mouth of the South, another Texas boy, just like Trevin Giles. Kevin Holland is exciting. He came out excited, came out to put on a show, and he did. But Derek Brunson's wrestling was just too much. It was 5 rounds of just master wrestling by Derek Brunson. But Kevin Holland, the entire time off of his back, he spent almost 5 rounds on his back and just kept talking shit the whole time. It was funny. Now, another interesting note. So, we also had Khabib in the post-fight show announcing that there was never any weighing of doubt, that he was going to stay retired or he was going to be retired. He wasn't even thinking about coming back, no matter how much Dana White pushed him. It was Dana White creating that possibility that, hey, maybe I'll throw enough money at this guy. But ultimately he did say that he was done. Now, where I was going with that was he's actually sitting cage side for the main event, sitting right next to Dana White. In the middle of this fight, I think it was after the second or third round, Kevin Holland's walking back to his corner, and he's calling out to Khabib, man, what can I do? What can I do for this wrestling? And I don't remember exactly how he put it, but he was. It looked like he was calling for Khabib's advice, and how he could get the victory, how he could counter that wrestling, how to keep from getting taken down. And I think I got the video pulled up here. Yeah. So let's play a little bit of the video. Khabib's streaming this on Instagram, and we'll just show.
Let's go, brother. Control your hips. Control your hips. Move around. Yeah. Let's go.
So Khabib gives him the advice to control his hips. Control hips. Kevin Holland goes out in the very next round and actually takes Derek Brunson down. And I remember them saying that Derek Brunson had never been taken down in the UFC. He has all these takedowns. He's never been taken down. Kevin Holland, who's definitely not a wrestler, it's evident for the first 3 rounds of this fight that he's getting outclassed. Derek Brunson is the bigger fighter. I think Kevin Holland weighed in at 183 on the scale, so he's very much a very light middleweight. And post-fight, Kevin Holland did talk about going down in weight. And I support it. If he does it the right way, I think he could be a killer at 170. I think he's a killer at 185, though. I think he, much like Khamzat Chimaev, who could go down and come up. I think Kevin Holland could still be great. I think he needs to work on his wrestling, though, especially if he's going to stay at middleweight. There's a lot of good wrestlers in the middleweight division. There's a lot of good wrestlers in the welterweight division as well, but that bigger weight definitely is gonna. Derek Brunson, weighs in at 185, but he probably walks around at 200, maybe a little bit over. All right, that's a lot to overcome. So, but either way, Kevin Holland getting the advice from Khabib and going in and taking Derek Brunson down, and just the tiniest bit of advice. They made it sound like it was a lot more advice, but just tighten up your hips. And then he goes in and takes Derek Brunson down. I don't know how much that advice benefited, but it was pretty cool to see. It was very cool to see. I don't think the hype stops with Kevin Holland right here. I think he just goes back to the drawing board. And maybe he did make a friend out of Khabib, and maybe he can get in training with Khabib. That would be really cool to see. Work on your wrestling for the next 4 or 5 months, and then maybe 6 to 9 months from now, we see Kevin Holland back. I would like to see some wrestling. I don't want him to jump right back in because I don't want him to damage his hype. So take some time. Work on the wrestling. Let's come back and see if that defense can hold up and come back and putting on a show, because I think he, personality-wise, he's got the smile, he's got the laugh, he's got the words. He can do it all, and I think he could be a future star for the UFC. A lot of people interested in tuning in, and this was his first main event, and he didn't look tired after 5 rounds. He prepared for it. You could tell this kid comes in and puts in the work to make it to 5 rounds to put on an entertaining main event. And it was entertaining. Absolutely was entertaining. So not a bad card. I liked it. I really did. So let's move on. Let's preview UFC 260. This again is going to be at the Apex. We were supposed to have 2 title fights on here. We were also going to have Ortega and Volkanovski on here. But unfortunately, Volkanovski ended up with COVID, and Ortega, it doesn't look like he's interested in taking another fight. He's there for the belt. I think with his last performance, he's earned the shot at the belt. COVID aside, there's no reason to do an interim title or strip Volkanovski. It's COVID. Hey, nothing you can do about it. So, hopefully that gets rescheduled. I hope that Volkanovski can get recovered, not have any long-standing effects from it, and we could see this fight down the road here very soon. But we still have, for the time being, knock on wood, the main event: Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou. I believe the co-main event is going to be Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque. This is going to be an interesting one for Tyron Woodley. His last performance was less than desirable. He got rocked pretty hard by Colby Covington. I've seen message boards, and I've seen all the talk on his performance. Is he slipping? Is this is his 3rd loss in a row. He lost the title to Usman, then he got outpointed by Gilbert Burns, and then he had this horrendous performance against Colby Covington. What could it have been? I don't know. And he came in to that Colby fight and did the Marshawn Lynch saying of, "I'm here just so I won't get fined," but his was, "I'm just here to remind people that Black Lives Matter," and not trying to say anything and not trying to say anything controversial, but I know I saw some reports and some words being said that his outlook and him saying that the Black Lives Matter thing and making that an important issue to them maybe took his mind off a very dangerous opponent, and it could have. It very well could have, and it could have explained that bad performance. I don't know. Only he knows that. We'll see, this week as he does the interviews and see what his focus looks like come Saturday when he gets in the cage. Vicente Luque is definitely a he's not anybody to sleep on either. He's in that. The flip side, aside from the BLM stuff, was Johnny Hendricks. That's what it reminds me of, is Johnny Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks lost his title and just could never recover and never looked the same after that. Is he falling victim to the same thing? Is Tyron Woodley falling through that same thing? I don't know. I would really like to see what happens with this fight with Luque. Luque's not quite there to contender status, but he is a reputable name. I think he's ranked number 10 right now in the UFC welterweight division, so he is still a top 10 opponent. Certainly beating Tyron Woodley would vault his name into that conversation, and a crowded conversation it is in the welterweight division these days. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, he did have he had a couple of good performances with what was his last fight? Was Randy Brown in August. Hit him with the KO, knees and punches in the second round. Earned a performance of the night. Before that, UFC 249, he beat Nico Price. His only loss in recent years was to Wonderboy Thompson, and that was a unanimous decision, but a fight of the night. So he puts his name in that discussion. You know, if Vicente Luque wins this fight, I'm trying to think of an opponent I would like him to see. He already has the loss against Wonderboy. I don't think I want to see that run back. You know what in all reality, what would make sense is back in 2017, he has a unanimous decision loss to Leon Edwards. That fight makes perfect sense to get rebooked. Just to see how their progression is. Leon's right there. Unfortunately, you know, with his fight getting canceled because of, the no contest because of the eye poke. I mean, if they would, shoot, they could rebook Leon Edwards back with his opponent, with Bilal Muhammad. I mean, I still would like to see that go on. Vicente Luque, I could see that as a potential for Khamzat Chimaev. It's going to be interesting the next couple of months. The welterweight division has a log jam up top, and hopefully Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard can come up with some exciting fights for us that kind of iron all this out and give us a clear picture in that 170 division. All right, so let's go. Should I do a prediction on that? Yeah, let's do. All right. I'm going to do some predictions here. Nope, not yet. All right. So the third fight, we're going to keep going down. We're going to highlight some of these fights here. Sean O'Malley versus Talmas Almeida. Bantamweight fight. Very interested to see how Sean O'Malley comes back from his injuries. Lightweight Kama Worthy versus Jamie Malarkey. That's another exciting one. Alonzo Minifield versus William Knight. Abukbar Nurmagomedov versus Jared Gooden. So, of course, we're going to see Khabib back cornering his guy. Women's flyweight, Jillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick. I'm very excited about that fight to see how it goes. It's not a bad pay-per-view. It's got some good ones. So let's go through the main card and see. I'll go ahead and do my predictions. So we'll lightweight Kama Worthy versus Jamie Malarkey. I like Kama Worthy. I think he's going to be a pretty big favorite come Friday and Saturday. I think the money is going to trend his way. Sean O'Malley versus Talmas Almeida. I think this is probably going to be our fight of the night right here. I'm going to give the nod to Sean O'Malley here. Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque. Nothing against Tyron and what he stands for. but I can't see with his recent performances. I just don't see him turning it around against a very tough opponent in Luque. So I'm gonna give the nod to Luque on that one. And then the main event, Stipe versus Ngannou, part 2. Yes. All right. So Ngannou has just been on a tear ever since his loss to Derek Lewis, which was a loss. Was it not a loss? It was a loss. I'm Team Black Beast. It was a loss. But Francis Ngannou, love watching this guy knock people out, and he's been doing it regularly. He's earned this second shot at Stipe. It has not been given to him. He's gone through a murderer's row. Versus Stipe, who looked very impressive against Daniel Cormier to get his title back. You know, unfortunately, there was eye pokes again in the DC Stipe trilogy. It was, DC fired off a couple of eye pokes, and then Stipe got DC with a really good eye poke. But Stipe performed well, looked every bit the masterclass that he's always looked. But where do I see this fight going? I'm torn because I really want to see an Ngannou knockout. I want to see some movement there. But Stipe is the class of the division. He is the best well-rounded fighter. You know what? I'm going to pick Ngannou. I'm going to pick Ngannou for the upset just because I want to see. There's so many fights that I want to see after that for Ngannou. I want to see the John Jones challenge for the title. John Jones versus Francis Ngannou gets me excited. John Jones versus Stipe. Okay, that gets me excited too. But not like in the way that Francis Ngannou. The Francis Ngannou versus John Jones. Francis Ngannou wins. Who does he face next? Yeah, your boy, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. Get some. That part 2 won't be the snooze fest that part 1 was. I don't know. I'm picking Francis Ngannou. I'll take the hate on that one. I'm picking it not because I think that's what's going to happen. I want that to happen. I want Francis Ngannou to win. And that hurts my heart because I do love Stipe. I appreciate he's absolutely the greatest heavyweight in UFC history. All due respect, I think he, if he loses his title, he still stays in contention. Depending on how close it is, we might see a trilogy fight there where he faces Francis Ngannou one time if he loses. But we'll see how it goes. So this Saturday, March 27th, UFC Apex on ESPN pay-per-view, UFC 260. Let's go. We'll see you next time, folks.